Y'all need to help Stephen Phillips out over there. Out the door and off the radio.
Here's Stephen Phillips.
All righty, folks, we're back with you on the Friday edition. Hope everybody's doing good out there. We've got a busy man here with us who took a little time out to come hang out. We sure do appreciate you coming there, Dr. Van Horn.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you for letting me be on the show this morning.
There you go. Can I just call you like Van? Or
You can call me Drew.
Drew. Oh, listen to that, Pat. Now, Pat, you have to call him Mr. Drew.
I will.
Drew.
Yeah.
I will.
Yeah, Dr. Drew. There you go. But anyway, we're glad you're here, man. A lot going on. We can see you're a little bit upset over some of the stuff that's going on with we actually had the EMC man here yesterday, which kind of shed a little bit of light about how actually it works on the, I call it an impact fee, but it's franchise fee, how that actually works. And it goes back charged to the people of the city.
That's right.
And you are one of the cities.
We are one of the cities. We are, I live in the city, so I'm a citizen, and then we're the largest business operation. And you're right. The big concern that I have had, and I think a lot of folks have had, is just how our council has been doing business, which is they're not informing the public about what they're doing, especially when it goes to causing these franchise fees. And at the last council meeting, one of the council members actually referred to it as a tax. And so it is a hidden tax. Mm-hmm. When you figure that they're going to put 4% on to the consumer's electric bill each and every month, that's a tax that's going right back to the city. Right. But they're hiding it as a franchise fee.
Well, that's exactly right, and that's what we talked about yesterday. Basically, they're charging a franchise fee to the EMC for running their power and their fiber through the city. And then they're charging the people of the city for that. So actually the city, the people, the residents of the city are actually having to pay for the EMC to be able to run their power through the city. It makes no sense to me.
No, it doesn't. It is, to me, it's smoke and mirrors. And right. I've already reached out to our representative in Georgia to really put some meat behind how these type of fees need to be handled. In Georgia, they only have to hold public hearings if they raise your utility like water fee, right, or if they raise your taxes. With a franchise fee, the law does not require them to hold a public hearing. Right. But it's best practice. Mm-hmm.
Well, you think the people of the county or the city would want to know.
Absolutely.
And they did it in Hiawassee. I think the city of Hiawassee did it back in 2018.
They did.
Which I was on the horn here then saying this is crazy that we have to do that. But now you are the biggest employer.
That's right.
So how many employees do y'all pretty much?
We have a little over 300 employees.
Wow.
We spend roughly $1.2 million a year in electricity. Mm-hmm. The 4% will increase our bill by $50,000 a year, which is the salary of an employee. Mm-hmm. And so we do everything we can to be good stewards.
Right.
And then this fee is placed on without anybody having the right to speak against it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's what is the frustration.
Does the state, you said that you talked to the state, do they say what percent this can be? Do they cap it at
yes,
2, 3, 4, 5? So 4% is as right. high as they can go.
That's right. And I do want to speak up for one council person who did get it, and that was Councilman Miller. Right. He got it. He said, now, wait a minute, folks. He said, when we talked about this, we said that we would generate X amount of income. Right. But what Dr. Van Horn has just said is his bill alone is going to exceed. Right. He said, so I think we need to stop and look at this again. Mm-hmm. And then he was outvoted by the rest of the council members to put it on hold.
But they could have put it on hold.
Yes.
Could they have made it could it have been 2%
yes.
as opposed to 4%?
Well,
yes.
Now here's the question I've got. I mean, back growing up, Young Harris, it's not changed at all from when I was a kid, other than like it's really gone down smaller. The college has grown, right. And just like E.L. Brown's, we used to go to E.L. Brown's and shop. It's now part of the college,
right?
And there's really nothing in Young Harris as far as the city. I think we're in the radio station's in,
right?
And I think just a couple of small businesses. I think the Wing House is in the
That's
city.
right, Enrico's.
Right.
And then I guess the dental office that is down that general area.
Moss,
Bank,
Dr.
the
Moss,
bank
yeah.
is in there.
So what do they need the money for?
library.
Do they come to you and say, okay, we need this money for this? What do they, I mean, okay, so to be a city, you have to offer three.
Right.
So you got water, sewer, and what's the other thing? What else they got?
The library.
The library.
That's what they're claiming is the third service is the library, although it is being funded mostly through the county.
Yeah, that's a mountain regional line. I know the county.
But
funds.
they're claiming that is the third service they're offering the community.
Is there a way to secede from the city, like dissolve the city? Wouldn't that be
I
nice?
keep preaching that. I mean, and everybody
Well-
thinks I'm stupid. Pat up there, he's like, everybody in the city's happy, but I don't know. I don't see no call for it. I don't see no
Yeah.
use in the city. Back in the day, it was more of a, it was a city of Young Harris, but it just kind of just rocked on the way it was, and with no problem. The guy that was actually the mayor, I can't remember his name now, it just slipped my mind, but I went to church with him. I think he made like $25 a week or a year or something, to be the mayor.
It's totally, and I think it's a legitimate question that we need to ask. Simply because when you look and see we're paying city taxes, when you see that the city can put extra restrictions on top of what the county has already put in,
Right.
then that's a double whammy that we have to overcome for any kind of economic development that
Right.
we think we can do here. For us at the college, and I'm speaking up, just for the citizenry, like a lot of folks, I believe in open government. I believe in communicative government.
Absolutely.
And my letter to the editor this past week that was published said they were saying that the public knew about this.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go on the website, there was no minutes published. There was no agenda. And I'm not talking about one. I'm talking about from December up to March, there were no minutes.
Right.
There were no agenda. How is the public supposed to be informed about
Were
this?
there prior to December? There were minutes.
There were minutes prior to December, and then there were no minutes, and then they had minutes for February, but no minutes for March, and no minutes for this past
Well,
April
ain't that
meeting.
something? They have to post the minutes. I mean, I think that's part of the
Yeah.
deal to be a city. But I don't know. It kind of sounds a little.
And
Well,
it
there's
doesn't
a
have
cloak
to
of
be an open.
secrecy, and that's just wrong. It's wrong for that workforce housing. It's wrong for what they've done for this franchise
Well,
fee.
I want it. I don't care what you think. I want it, and that's kind of where you go to, not what the people. If the people want it, that's what you've got
Yeah.
to do. You're a servant of the people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We have to remind these people of that fact.
So what is I mean, this is a lot of money when you
Right.
look at it at the end of the year or end of the day. This is a lot of money. What is the growth, or what do they need? What does the city need?
Well, that's a good question, and that's one of the things I just wrote a letter to all the citizens in Young Harris and to the businesses that we're going to hand deliver to everybody to have them show up at the next council meeting, which is June the 6th.
Right.
That's one of the questions. All we know is they just hired a new position, and that new position is really for Main Street development. Now,
Okay.
when I stop and think about that, and I said, well, tell me what we're doing with the Main Street development, their response was, we're doing pocket parks. Pocket parks. And I said, we live in the Enchanted Valley. We back up to the highest peak in Georgia. We live in a park.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
And to find somebody to do this, especially when we're also working with Denise McKay in the county and with Hiawassee, how many people do we need in working for the city to, quote, help the Main Street development? But for that aspect, they didn't tell us anything at the meeting of how the money was going to be used.
Yeah. See, I would like to know that.
Me too.
And I know that's the main. If you
I
want-
got a question. I'm not sure. I've listened to you, and I'm not sure what the problem is. We started with the franchise fee. Is
Right.
that the issue?
That's the
or
issue.
is it the way the city operates? What's the issue?
The issue is it's twofold. The franchise fee is the big issue. The reason it's the big issue is because the city did not approach it and allow the public to know it was under conversation, to give the public a chance to comment on it.
Okay, given that the franchise fee is going to add 4% to the electric bill, what do you think the guesses are that someone a citizen is going to stand up and say, yeah, give me some more. I mean, isn't it, don't we have a representative government? Don't you elect the council people in the city to represent the people?
You elect the people to represent the people, but they're also supposed to be listening to the people. And
Well, if people showed up at the meeting, they would be listened to.
But here's what they do, Pat, is they say this is when we meet, and they don't put out an agenda because it's not listed on their website. So how is the public supposed to know what's going to be discussed at the meeting so they can go and tell their elected representatives how their positions are?
Well, I think your number one, your first issue is with the state legislature, because they're the ones that created the legislation that created the franchise fees. Number two, they're the ones that dictate the rules about how municipalities operate. The city is fulfilling their obligation by posting their minutes and their agenda at City Hall, and that's the only thing that is required. If you want them to post it on the website, then we need some legislation along those lines.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I don't disagree, and that's why I'm talking to our legislator, because there are some loopholes that are in this, the way that the state government has said municipalities have to work, but it's up to the citizenry to call on the legislature to close those gaps. But it's also to us to go to our representatives and say, I don't care necessarily what the state says you have to do. What we're telling you is we're electing you to keep us informed, and this is what we expect from our representatives. And that's all I'm trying to do, is get the citizenry to stand up and tell the council, this is what we expect from our elected officials.
Well, I think that's a good plan, because quite frankly, when I was there, I used to go to those meetings, and I was not a citizen. I mean, I don't live in the city, but I'd be there, and I was the only one there. So I think it's incumbent on the citizens. And don't you, a government, an organization as big as yours, don't you have a government affairs person?
Yeah, we have a representative at every one of the council meetings.
Okay.
And
all
so
right.
even when they were at the council meeting, the conversations in public about this franchise fee was very, very surfacey, no detail whatsoever. And our representative has kept minutes himself. So, yes, I agree with you. Being present is important, but I think the bigger part for that is to be present, the community needs to be aware what is on the agenda for discussion. And I don't know how many working adults have the time to be able to stop by the city hall and look at the agenda that is posted on the website. As a matter of fact, at this last meeting, they were just printing out the agenda because they had made a change to the agenda and brought it into the meeting. Okay. So that's what I'm saying, is this transparency is not there well enough for the citizenry to be able to understand what is before the council so that they can help the council understand their personal positions.
And that becomes then a state legislature issue.
Okay, so what I'm getting from Pat is it's your fault.
No, I think it's. I think
That's what it sounds like to me.
Well, I think the aspect is, and this is where we have to be careful. When you say, and this is what the councilman said to me when I was at the meeting, and I disproved it in my letter to the editor this past week. They said the public is aware of what we're talking about. And we've been talking about this since February, is what they told me. So I went on the website, took a picture of it. There were no minutes, no agenda posted on their website. They had them for December, but nothing in January, February, March. So how can the citizenry know what you're talking about and what you're discussing when they don't know what the agenda was, nor even the minutes? I mean, to me, that is where I really come back to say you can't put the onus on people attending unless they know what you're discussing, because that's what motivates people to say, I need to go share my opinion on that matter.
Well, you know, I expect the government to be conservative. I don't want them to spend money that they don't need. And I want, if they're going to do something like this, I'm like you, I think it should be put out that, hey, we're going to meet about this. I mean, regardless if they're supposed to or not, you know, you'd think responsible. So, I mean, I think the next step of this thing right here is to get a group of folks together and maybe replace the mayor that is more conservative and more the way that people look and think in this area.
Wait. The mayor has no vote. The mayor has no position on this thing.
Okay, so the city council brought
The
this
council
to...
people voted, and they voted 3-1.
All right, slow down there, Pat. So the councilors went out and said, hey, let's do that. So you think the councilor's the one that's brought this to the...
No, the mayor brought it.
Okay, so like I said, we need to replace the mayor.
Stephen, if you had your way, you would disenfranchise the city.
In a
right?
heartbeat.
Yes, I'm all for that.
Okay. Just so we understand where Stephen's coming from.
Yeah.
How much money and red tape could you save? I know that
A lot.
this church they're building out here is going to be humongous. Have y'all seen the work out there, the church coming in? Yeah. And I mean, it was a frustrating, aggravating process to go through with the red tape, trying to get the roads cut and all that kind of stuff. And it's just a lot of red tape that could be took away that you don't need.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, less
Especially
is more.
for what? Stupid little pocket parks? That's a waste of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things and I said this to the council, is they said, well, you know, how else can we communicate with our citizenry? I said, well, you've got one simple way, and that is you mail us a water bill once a month.
Well,
All you need to do is put in your agenda. All you need to do is put in what you're discussing once a month in a water bill, which is already going out. And you can then say, we have communicated with our citizenry. Because I don't know anybody who doesn't open up their water bill.
Dr. Van Horn, I think they're restricted by what they can attach to their water bill.
Even with information?
Yeah.
you know that for a
There's-
fact, or you
there's
just saying
some-
that? to be-
Again, that goes back to the state legislature, what you can do with the water bill.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I think, you know, and thank you for sharing that, Pat. That's insight I did not have. But I would also share again, when you look at government, and if it's a pass down, if it's a trickle down, if the state says what the municipalities can do, that's a minimum, and it shows them the minimum they have to do to operate. The citizenry can tell their government what they expect.
Right.
And so this is what I'm calling folks to do. On June 6th is the next council meeting. If we were to show up, the citizenry, the business owners within this area, to at least let the council, we're aware of this, and we don't like the lack of transparency that you did as you talked about this fee that is going to be going on to my bill, which is going to cost me 4% more a year. And if you talk to the ERC, they haven't increased their rates in 6 years.
Yeah.
But they're now thinking of a rate increase. So you get what the EMC has to put, plus you put another 4% on top of that, and we don't know what it's going for. We have not been
Exactly.
told what it's funding. And to me, that's where we have to stand up as a citizenry and hold the group accountable, at least to communicate to
So I
us.
have a couple questions on that. One, at some point, people here in Towns County wanted Hiawassee to become a city and Young Harris to become a city. Do we have any idea when? I mean, I've done no
None.
research on that.
I have no
but at some
idea.
point, the citizens of these areas wanted it to be a city
Yeah.
for whatever reason. So I understand that was
Yeah.
years ago, before probably any of us had any rights to voting
Right.
or things like that.
It was prior to Zell Miller served as mayor
That's
of
what
Young
I thought.
Harris.
Okay.
So it was prior to Zell, but his job was completely different at that point in time. When I had
Yeah.
said I was going to run for mayor a couple of years ago, Shirley Miller came and visited with me. And it was funny. She said, Drew, somebody knocked on the door on election night and said, "Congratulations, Zell. You've been elected mayor. Here's your pistol and here's your blackjack."
There you go. That's the good old days.
And I said, "What?" She said, "Well, you have to understand, the mayor was responsible for going out and collect back taxes.
taxes.
Oh, there you
The
go.
mayor
Yes.
had to do all of these other things."
Right.
But the city aspect, I believe, occurred when the college transitioned the water system to the city
Right.
to
Gotcha.
operate.
Okay.
Because that's when the city had two services that they could now offer and truly be claimed as a city.
But it was just, it was do nothing, honestly. I mean,
Oh,
let
yeah.
me ask something, Pat.
Yeah.
When you elect your elected officials, do you think that they should tell their people that voted for them what they are doing in their office? I mean, do you think that's something they should try to get out and try to talk to people about? Hey, I'm fixing to build this road right in the middle of wherever. Do you think they should talk to people about that? I mean, they're elected. Do you think they should do that?
Yeah.
I do too, as an
Me
elected
too.
official.
But here's where we're going to
It's
depart.
not my
because-
job to chase down what they're doing. It's not my job to do that. They voted
Exactly.
these folks in there. It is not my job for me have to go and look and beg and plead for what's going on in my county or my city. It is their job. They're elected officials, and they should be out there saying, hey, this is what we're doing. We got to take a break on that. I got to hush him up before we get back because I know he's going to say something hateful. Alrighty, we're back with you. Hope everybody's doing good. We've got Dr. Van Horn here, the head honcho. I guess you'd be the president of the
I'm
young.
the president of the college.
Golly, I never sat next to a president before.
Don't get too excited.
Yeah, I was going to say it's no big deal.
You wouldn't be interested in co-signing for a boy, would you?
Steven.
And I've got a boy and a girl of my own. I don't even co-sign for them.
Oh, okay. Well, I know where that puts
It's a
me.
smart parent.
So anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. We was kind of talking about the fee that's going on with this, but now you, I mean, as far when is the election coming?
Well, the mayor runs every 4 years, so
Right.
she's 2 years into her election. The city council is in a staggered.
Yes.
So this November, I think there's 2 seats that are up for reelection. I'm encouraging folks within the city, and Pat, this speaks to kind of what you're seeing is I'm encouraging people run for that, and they're like, well, I don't want to do it. You know, it's my time. And so we're left with only a few individuals who said, yes, I'll take on that responsibility.
Right.
And but as a citizenry, I think we do, and I'm trying to talk to people within the city to run for open positions so that we can bring in city council and mayor that do agree to the transparency and not afraid for the citizens
more
to come and
conservative.
talk.
And
That's-
beyond that, I agree that as an elected official, even though I'm probably the least people don't like to see me show up on their
Well, you
front
come and
porch.
see if they're dead or not. I, mean,
I know
come
exactly,
on.
but I still tell people what we're doing, how
Right.
many cases we've had, what type of cases, because I do think that is the bare minimum that I can do is to inform the county what is going on with the coroner's office, what's
Well,
needed.
If you took the Young Harris College out of the city, the population would be hardly nothing in the city.
That's correct.
Because actually Young Harris is a bigger city than Hiawassee, believe it or not, because of the college.
That's right.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That's it.
Yeah, it
That's
is.
right. And one of the big fears is when I was looking to run for mayor, they were saying that folks were coming to me and saying, well, you know, you're not from this area. You may have a hard time getting votes. I said, I've got 875 votes sitting right across the street
Right.
on the college campus. All I got to do is get the kids registered to vote.
Right. And a lot of them do vote in the
And
election.
a lot of them do vote. And I'm trying to encourage them to very simply get engaged in the political machine, simply because we want our next generation of leaders to be transparent.
That's one of the big
Exactly.
things during the election there. But everybody's, oh, them Young Harris College kids shouldn't vote. But then when they win, oh, yeah, they should vote. You know, it's kind of
Oh, yeah.
rocking
Yeah.
back and forth. But, yeah, I don't know. Pat, you got anything else hateful you want to say?
Well, I think that I know the council members and the mayor in Young Harris, and I think they're doing, or believe they're doing their best to be transparent. I think they would love to see 50 or 10 or 20 or however many people show up at the meetings and be engaged in the conversation. I don't see the same problem that apparently everybody else does.
Okay, the survey, I know there's 3 over here that disagree with the 1, so I think the majority rules are here.
That's normally the way the vote turns out in this organization.
Yeah, it's pretty much. There's
and I
3 over here
understand
that think it's not doing a good job, and there's 1 in South Carolina that don't count as all for it. Okay,
I feel like John the Baptist crying in the wilderness, you know.
Well, I would tell you one thing. June 6th, like I've said it many times, they start at 6:30. I'm going to be there at 6. The other thing I would tell you is citizenry hands are not tied. They're still advertising their seafood festival that's going to be coming up in June 2nd. Just be aware, the college is closing off all of our parking lots, and we're saying no festival parking.
Good. Yep.
And that is something that we're doing simply because they have not been transparent and involved us in conversations. So we are closing off all of our parking, and it's not going to be for festival parking. That's what you have to do when you feel like that people are not listening to you. That's when you have to step
Yes,
up.
you do have
But
boundaries.
I encourage all of the citizens and business owners in Young Harris to come out June 6th at 6:30, and let's tell the council how we feel about the franchise fee, but more than that, how they're going about their business.
Right, because we know it's not only with the franchise fee, it's with that workforce housing. I know as a citizen, I'm tired of being treated like a mushroom where you're kept in the dark and you're shoveled manure on top of your head.
But I
I'm
like
done
them
with
kind
it.
of mushrooms, but
Yeah.
anyway.
But what I'm hearing in this is that everybody would just like them to be more transparent, more informative.
I'd like to cut taxes myself, but anyway.
Well,
we
and
got to
the-
get to. We got anything else we need to cover right
No,
quick?
sir.
I think we got it. So that is going to be when?
June the 6th, they meet at 6:30, and I'm encouraging everyone to get there at 6 so that I can have a chance to speak with those who wish to be at the meeting, so they know a little bit more about the agenda and the franchise fee tax.
I'll see you there.
Thank you for spending a little time with us. And remember, you can tune in every morning at WJULradio.com at 8 a.m. Eastern. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel and like us on Facebook, The Morning Dish.